An organization must develop a policy that describes and ensures the standard behaviors to be followed by organization's staffs and representatives that will prohibit sexual exploitation and abuse (SEA) while working with the communities. Such policy, protection from sexual exploitation and abuse (PSEA policy), must have 5 components that elaborates organizations aim to end sexual exploitation and abuse by their affiliates and ensures that allegations of SEA are responded to in a timely and appropriate manner. The first part of the PSEA policy shall include the context of forming a PSEA policy within an organization. This shall include objectives of the policy, purpose of forming the PSEA policy, explaining the desired outcomes intended to get through the policy. The PSEA policy shall also have its scope mentioned, clearly explaining to whom the PSEA policy applies to and what types of sexual exploitation and abuse the policy addresses. The second part of the PSEA policy shall include the definition of key terms used in the policy. This includes terms like SEA, beneficiaries, whistleblower, child abuse, etc. The terminologies can differ from one organization to another. For example, it is important to describe what beneficiaries means to a particular organization, as it may vary from one organization to another. The third part of the policy shall include the 6 core principles of SEA that need to be followed by humanitarian or aid organizations. The policy shall be based on those principles. Those principles include: sexual exploitation and abuse by humanitarian workers constitute acts of gross misconduct and are therefore grounds for termination of employment. Sexual activity with children, persons under the age of 18, is prohibited regardless of the age of majority or age of consent locally. Mistaken belief regarding the age of a child is not a defense. Exchange of money, employment, goods or services for sex, including sexual favors or other forms of humiliating, degrading, or exploitative behavior is prohibited. This includes exchange of assistance that is due to beneficiaries. Any sexual relationship between those providing humanitarian assistance and protection and a person benefiting from such humanitarian assistance and protection that involves improper use of rank or position is prohibited. Such relationships undermine the credibility and integrity of humanitarian aid work. Where a humanitarian worker develops concerns or suspicions regarding sexual abuse or exploitation by a fellow worker, whether in the same agency or not, he or she must report such concerns through established agency reporting mechanisms. Humanitarian workers are obliged to create and maintain an environment which prevents sexual exploitation and abuse and promotes the implementation of their code of conduct. Managers at all levels have particular responsibilities to support and develop systems which maintain this environment. In the fourth part, PSEA policy shall have well-defined role and responsibility of its staffs, executive committee, managers, members, consultants, and volunteers on protecting its beneficiaries and institutional affiliates from sexual exploitation and abuse. For example, executive committee can have responsibility of timely analyzing the effectiveness of PSEA policy. Every organization shall have effective complaint and response mechanism designed to make it easier for the community to report and get response to any cases of SEA. In the fifth part of the PSEA policy, an organization shall create different channels through which complaint can be registered and responded or acted upon as soon as possible. A referral process for the actions that cannot be handled within the organization must be made. Similarly, the organization shall have a concrete written procedure to respond to reports or concerns regarding SEA. Confidentiality and anonymous mechanism must be maintained for the safety of the victim and the whistleblower. Similarly, clear provision to support the victims shall be made, which includes medical support, psychological support and counseling, material assistance, and legal support.